If you're thinking about buying a home in New York, the last thing you want is wasting your time looking at houses that you can't afford, or even worse, find the home that you want, but you can't purchase it because you just simply aren't ready. Hi everyone, I'm Deontay Laborde, a real estate agent based in New York, happily serving Westchester County, New York City, and Long Island. I create videos helping people like you navigate the buying, selling, and relocation process. Today, I'm going to be breaking down the 5 things you absolutely need to do before you do any form of house hunting. Let's get into it. All right, guys, so the first thing that you are going to need is probably the most important thing, and that's going to need to be pre-approved. Get your pre-approval letter, not pre-qualification, pre-approval. So a pre-qualification is basically a lender telling you what you could possibly afford, but this is just based on what you tell them. You could tell them you make $1 million and they'll give you a pre-qualification for a huge mortgage. However, a pre-approval is going to be more intangible. When you give the empirical documents according to how much you make, your debt to income ratio, your credit score, then the mortgage lender can actually provide you with a more accurate analysis, a more accurate estimate of what you could possibly afford as a mortgage. So getting a pre-approval allows you to actually compete as a serious buyer. So when you see the house that you like, you can jump in and make an offer. Sellers and their agents will take you seriously because you have something to bring to the table. What we want is to be more proactive than reactive. We don't have time to go look at a house. Oh, I like this. Now let me go get my documents ready to get a pre-approval to make an offer. So in other words, stay ready so you do not have to get ready. The second thing you're going to do is know your budget. Even though you may have been pre-approved for a certain mortgage, doesn't mean that you can afford the entire full sum of that mortgage. You need to know your budget. How much you're going to spend on a house. Be aware of, okay, the taxes or the other fees that may also be included into the purchase of your home. What you do not want to do is become house poor. A $500,000 house in Westchester could be more expensive than a $600,000 house in Queens, maybe on taxes or HOA fees. Who knows? So know what you can afford and please stick to it. So this is going to be one of the most expensive investments that you are going to make in your life. So you need to be really sure about what you want and what you don't want. It makes no sense purchasing something that you know there are features about this property or this asset that you really do not like. Makes no sense. So make sure before you put an offer into any property, before you even look at properties, know what are your non-negotiables? What are your standards? What are some things that you just can't live without? And what are some things that you absolutely want to avoid? Things that you do not want to deal with. That determines whether you want a single family home with a porch, with a lawn, with a backyard, right? That requires maybe high maintenance to upkeep, or you maybe have a more busier lifestyle, maybe you want a condo, right? Or a co-op where there's less maintenance. You do what you have to do. You live your life. Do you need a big closet? Do you need a specific amount of bedrooms? All these things, these create the parameters on which you will now efficiently go and look for your next purchase. So knowing your priorities allow you to make better choices and narrows down your search so you aren't overwhelmed. The fourth thing that you're going to want to do, you need to understand the local market. Local market. What do I mean by that? What I mean is, hey, is this a buyer's market or a seller's market? How fast are homes selling currently in the market? Are houses going for 10,000, 15,000, 20,000 over the asking price? Or are homes not selling and the price are being reduced more and more and more? If you have your pre-approval, you know your budget, you know your non-negotiables, when you actually start looking at some houses, now you can better prepare yourself for, hey, do I need to maybe adjust how much I'm going to offer on certain properties? Because, hey, I may need to spend extra to keep my place in the bidding race, or I may have some more leverage on my side and I could save a couple of thousands of dollars because homes aren't selling. Knowing the market will dictate what strategy we'll use to help you purchase your next property. The last tip, The last tip before you go on any showings, the last tip before you take a weekend stroll around the neighborhood or go to the open house, the fifth tip is please work with an agent. Many times, agents are given a bad rap. There are a lot out there. However, if you're doing this for your first time, you may not be aware of any fees, any taxes, any little quirk, or there may be some neighborhoods, right, that have a lot of co-ops. There may be some condos in a certain area that are very investor friendly. So working with an agent will allow you to gain more insight onto the market and to help advise you on certain actions that could very well benefit you. It can help you save money, but it can also get you that dream property that you've been desiring for a while. Most often than not, when you actually make a purchase on a property, whether you are represented or not by an agent, you are paying that representation fee. If you do not have an agent, you're just paying that to the seller and the seller's agent. Most often than not, the seller has already allocated some of the realtor fees for a buyer's agent. So why pay the full price for representation but not take the benefits of representation? Make that make sense. Make that make sense. Now, granted, some agents aren't as invested in the success of their potential clients. But for me, however, I loyally work for people that want to work with me. I hear many things like, I don't want to be locked into an agreement. Well, this is a partnership. And technically, I am signing myself to work for you as a client. So if you don't want to be locked into the agreement, then that tells me that you aren't ready. And that's okay. But if you're ready, it makes the most sense to take advantage of every service available to you. So work with an agent so that you are protected and that you are properly represented, because the seller and the seller's agent, they're doing what's best for them. Why not do what's best for you? So those are the 5 tips. Let me know which tips surprised you in the comments below. If you have any questions, feel free to shoot them in the comments as well. If this video helped in any way, be sure to like the video and subscribe for more videos just like this that will be coming to this YouTube channel every Monday. Be sure to follow my social media. There I'm posting so much more content, short form content, certain tips, certain features of certain neighborhoods, or even events around New York so that you know everything you need to know about New York. So until next time, be safe. Take care of yourself.